Hi everyone and welcome back. So in this we are going to talk about Nest.js with integration of Auth0. So first of all, Auth0 term might be new for some of the developers. First, let's try to clarify what is Auth0 and why I'm talking about integration with Auth0. So you might be heard about Firebase Auth or authentication with the Google, authentication with the social profile, all those things, SSO, login and all. So Auth0 is from Okta and it provides the authentication suite. So there are two options. Either let's say I'm building this Nest.js application, what I can do? I can build my own authentication logic here inside this Nest.js application. I build the login, sign up and all those things. And what happens is the user from the UI application will hit the APIs directly here. Okay, just like login, register, and in this Nest.js API will give you the token, and the same token you will be passing again to the protected APIs. Now, how you are going to manage the session between your uh, client application and your Nest.js is APIs. So this is server side. This is your client side. What happens is you do the login, you got the token. Now you will send the token in your protected APIs, and this is how things will work. That is when you have authentication created in Nest.js. You have in-house authentication mechanism. But do we need it? I mean, just like for POC applications, that is fine. But when you are building any product, you should always externalize the authentication into third-party provider. I mean, there are many advantages of it. It depends on either you are building an end user application like Swiggy, Uber Eats, any kind of shopping cart application like Mintra or any of these products. They are user facing product. But when you are building any B2B product where your product is being used by another companies, another client and customer, because they have their own login system and they don't want to just create a sign up on this another application and then they want to use your interface. What they do, they also always want SSO configured. So if you are doing every authentication here, then think about the scalability, because tomorrow you need to support the SSO login for the clients and customers. So can you manage that in your Nest.js APIs? For simple login, register, POC, demo, that is fine. But for large scale, no. So what happens is we externalize all those things to Auth0. It is same as the Firebase Auth, Okta. Now Auth0 is under Okta. It provides the authentication suite. That means the whole user management will be owned by Auth0. You don't need to manage the users in your own application. The login and sign up will happen through Auth0. What happens is you will do the login through your Next.js or React app to the Auth0. Auth0 will give you the token, and now you will be talking to your APIs through that token only. Okay, your communication to your APIs will be happening through token REST. You don't know Auth0, Nest.js doesn't know Auth0. Only is you got the token. Now you need to tell your Auth0 APIs, okay, I have the token, let me access the APIs. But now another important question is how Auth0 knows that your API is valid and API has been created for that dedicated tenant or dedicated application. Maybe your token may be valid but not created by Auth0 for this application. So how can we do the integration of Nest.js with Auth0? What happens is when you do the login, you got the token. Now you will carry that token through the APIs to the Nest.js backend API like Express or Nest.js. Now Nest.js or this Express backend needs to validate, okay, is your token valid? Then you need to talk to Auth0. You need to say, okay, sir, I have this token. Is it valid? Is it created by you? Is it valid? Is it not expired? Is it created by your entity? All those validations will be done by Nest.js by talking to Auth0. If all good, yes, you can access the APIs. So this is what Nest.js with Auth0 integration. It can be simple express. Mostly it is considered as a simple middleware. Okay, let's talk about what that middleware is. Okay, so here I have created a middleware. That middleware will check. Okay, are you passing me the header? Inside the headers, we are passing this bearer token. In the authorization header, there should be a bearer token we should be passing. Now, I mean, how you manage the session between your client and a Nest.js can be cookies based or token based. somehow you need to send a token to the Nest.js, either through the cookies, either through an external simple authorization header, right? That's on you how you want to send it. But once you receive it, you need to validate. So validation will be done against that Auth0 account. Okay, the user is valid, the Auth0 token is valid, and it's created by this Auth0 only. Okay, then allow user to access the APIs. This is the whole flow. This is called the integration. And why should we use Auth0, this Firebase Auth, an external provider? Because when you are doing integrations like SSO, so let's see how this Auth0 looks like. So this is my Auth0 profile. I will also show you how I am configuring this Auth0 on the front end application like Next.js or React. Here we are creating applications. So what I will do is I can just create a simple create application. Like here I just created this application, udemy.com. It will give me the client ID and the client secret. You just need to configure this on your front end application, and that will take care the whole authentication flow. I mean, because the authentication is done through Auth0. It will redirect you to the Auth0 login screen, then you will enter the login password. It will accept you when you do the consent. It will redirect you to your client side route. This is what happens when you log in with the Google, log in with the Facebook and Twitter. This is what happens. So the flow is simple. So when you write a code for this Next.js React app, it will give you the client ID because you got the client ID from here. You will configure the client ID with the with the Auth0 SDK. So it will have a client ID. Okay. Now it will give you one button, log in with Auth0, and then Auth0 will redirect you to its own UI page. Okay. And you will enter username, password, and you can do the login with the Google, login with the Facebook, or login with the Twitter, or you might have a username, password. So you will do the login based on that. Once you do the login, you will be redirected back. So this is how it happens. Auth0 will check the credentials. If everything is good, Auth0 will redirect you to your UI route where you will say, okay, user session exists, I'm logged in, and you will also get the access token provided by Auth0. Now, as you are already logged in and you got the token, now you can start playing with the APIs, and that is the integration we are going to do. I was saying why you need Auth0. I mean, for simple applications, you can build in-house authentication, but for enterprise connections, like you want to allow users to log in with the Azure account, Google Workspace account, or you want to have SSO SAML integrations, then you should use external authentication provider. Like it has integration with ADFS, Azure AD, Google Workspace, and these are the social authentication provider. You can also integrate with the social authentication provider like login with the Google, login with the Facebook, and all the options are available here. You can see. So all these will be managed centrally. You don't need to configure the Google, GitHub separately. You just configure them together here, and then for this application, you will enable them. So here, let's say I'm using this application, and here you will enable the connections. Okay, what all different connections I want. I can also enable this Google Auth. So when you see the login screen of Auth0, you can also do the login with the Google. We will see that in the demo, how it really works. But this is all about like some small glimpse about Auth0. When you want to externalize your authentication, either use the Firebase, Auth0. Auth0 is really very popular, and I'm using it since like 5-6 years for my brand applications. So I don't need to write authentication logic, and you don't need to. I mean, you cannot manage all the different kind of authentication on your code. You can just do a simply username, password, or just a passport based login where you can allow user to log in with the Google, Facebook, Twitter. That's it. Nothing more than that. You cannot configure the SSO SAML and all those things. So you should be dependent on this Auth0, and you can learn it. There is nothing wrong in learning Auth provider. It is really very powerful. And we are going to talk about authentication and authorization with Auth0 in this session.